ਜੀ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ 3:03 ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਗਿੱਲ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਮੇਅਰ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ। ਪੈਟਰਿਕ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਹਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਗਿੱਲ ਸ਼ੋਅ।
Harjinder, great to be on your show.
Right. So, Patrick, as we have already planned and we are already advertising the Radiothon, which is happening on 24th of November on Radio Humsafar. And before your call, I was just taking the calls of the community, and there were a number of different concerns and questions by the community, and we will try to, because as you mentioned, you have 10 minutes. So we will just try to cover up as many as questions as we can. So let's start with why are we doing this Radiothon on the day of when we are celebrating Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birthday?
Well, William Osler is fundraising to build a second hospital, and the celebration of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birthday has been a catalyst for acts of generosity and love. And, you know, previously the city embarked upon our tree planting campaign, our 1 million tree planting campaign in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's honor. I know the Seva Food Bank has done some extraordinarily fundraising around this auspicious day. And the hospital is embarking upon a campaign knowing how important this second hospital is. For us to trigger the provincial funding, and the province has committed to build the second hospital, but we have to come up with our local share. And so this is extraordinarily important that we raise these funds so that we can get the second hospital built. If there's ever a community that needs a second hospital, it is Brampton. We are beyond capacity.
Right. So, Patrick, but people are concerned. They think maybe we are trying to cash the religious emotions at this time. So, do you think we are trying to emotionally blackmail people on this special day?
I don't believe so. It was members, you know, I believe this was an idea of members of the Sikh community who suggested that this could be a great radiothon. And so, you know, the fact that we are trying to raise funds for the second hospital, I think, is a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful that we've got great partners like your radio station that is helping us marshal goodwill to a cause that is so important.
So why we are just asking people to raise this radiothon through this radiothon? Why are we planning to raise the funds for Peel Memorial Hospital only?
So we're raising funds throughout the year. I should note, as you know, I had that big hockey charity fundraiser in the summer. There's been runs dedicated to this. But the reason is for the second hospital that is our biggest healthcare fundraising project right now. This is our biggest fundraising project in the city at this moment. We will unleash over $1 billion in provincial funding if we raise the local share. So we've got to raise $150 million locally, and we'll get over $1 billion in provincial money. We need that provincial money to build the second hospital. There are lots of cities asking for a hospital. We don't want Brampton to get passed by. We don't want to miss this opportunity. Now that the province has committed to this, we need to meet our share, and that's the local share identified by the province. And so, you know, when I ask people what their top priority is in Brampton, again and again I hear people tell me healthcare. We got to get the second hospital. You know, we've had times where, you know, we've literally had to turn people away from the hospital because we're over capacity. So for me, this is of critical importance.
And when we say local share, so and that 10%, when we say that local share is the part from the community side, so why that provision is there? What is that local share? Why not all the funds are arranged by the provincial or city government?
So the province says now that they require a local share, and so the local share means that the city and the community have to come up with 10%. And so this is a big number, and it's really more than 10% because the city and the community have to come up with not just the 10% of the building cost, but we have to pay for all the equipment cost. So the real number is probably closer to $300 million once you include the equipment costs. So it is a huge task, But Harjinder, I'm working on it every day. I want us to get the second hospital built. I want to make sure, we get this new emergency department, this mental health unit, this center for dementia. I want to make sure we get these 350 hospital beds. We need it desperately. And so that's why I spend so much time working on this hospital project.
And is this something which is happening in Brampton only, or other cities also do these kind of radiothons or fundraisers?
Yeah, every city that wants to build a hospital is doing this. Every hospital has a foundation, and they are embarked upon fundraising.
So what's the basic reason behind that local share portion? Actually, just wanted to listen that again.
Yeah, so this is not our rule. This is a provincial rule, and so do I think it should be our responsibility to raise these massive amounts, and the city has to contribute? Like, we have a healthcare levy in Brampton. Our property taxes go towards building it. That's a different debate with the province, but I don't want there to be any reason that our hospital gets delayed. And right now, that is the provincial requirement. And both Liberals and Conservatives, when they were in power, had this local share requirement. So this is not a new thing. It was the same under McGuinty, Wynne, Ford. So it's not a new development.
Actually, I was taking calls and there was a question. So people wants to know. Just to relate, because Mississauga is just a neighbor city, and people wants to know, do they do the same kind of radiothons or fundraisers in Mississauga for the hospitals and other facilities?
The Mississauga, the Trillium Hospital Foundation has been very successful. Probably one of the most successful fundraising campaigns we've seen in the province. Trillium has had some enormous gifts, some very successful fundraising. So, yeah, Trillium Foundation's got a very aggressive fundraising effort, and good for them. But my focus is on Brampton. I want to see the same success in Brampton.
Right, because I noticed that when we were just going through the documents, and there were a target of $200,000 for this radiothon. So from where that number comes from?
Well, it was members of the community meeting with Osler who had this target. But I would say every donation helps. When we're trying to raise in the range of $300 million to pay for equipment and for bricks and mortar, it all adds up. And whether I'm going to a fundraiser that's a bake sale, that's a lemonade stand, that is a dinner at the Queen's Manor, whether we're going to a charity hockey game or a charity run, it all adds up. And you wouldn't believe the amount of events that happen in our community, and it all makes an impact. And so if you think that one event doesn't make an impact, it does, because it creates momentum for others to do the same.
So, okay, in terms of the transparency, allocation, and the clarity regarding the collected funds, how will the proceedings go?
So everything collected goes to the hospital foundation, and the hospital foundation is putting it towards our local share to get our second hospital.
Right. And how about the receipts? Whenever somebody is donating funds, within how many hours or within how many days they will be able to get the receipts?
That we'd have to ask someone from the hospital foundation. They're the ones that issue the receipts. As mayor of the city, I just try to champion every effort, whether it's a radiothon or any other form of fundraising, anything that's supporting our second hospital, I rally behind.
Okay. And is there any other reference where we have already, the city has already raised the fund for the same cause?
Yeah, the city's been raising funds nonstop. We do an annual golf tournament for the hospital. I do an annual charity hockey game. This summer I did it with John Tavares, the captain of the Maple Leafs. We raised $1.1 million.
And when was that?
That was August, yeah.
That was in this August?
Yeah.
And that was $1 million funds has already been raised on that event?
Well, yeah, we raised $1.1 million that night.
1.1 million, okay. Because this is the question many people are concerned about. Sometimes people think this is we are just doing this radiothon on Radio Humsafar or only in Punjabi community. So in terms of different communities, when we talk about the diversity, how the city is planning to collect the funds from different communities?
I see every community stepping up, and that's the beautiful thing. Whether you're Sikh, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, every community needs the hospital when they face health difficulties. And the one thing sure about life is that health is always precarious. That we're all going to get older, and we're all going to need a hospital when we fall ill. And so, what I've seen is love in our city. Community group after community group making donations. In the They just did the 𝐉𝐈'𝐒 community run for the hospital in September, where the 𝐉𝐈'𝐒 community donated $100,000. Today at City Council, Councillor 𝐿𝐿𝐒 brought a local mandir to City Council that donated $25,000. I have seen the annual Muslim Friends of Osler gala that I've attended, where they do an annual fundraiser for the hospital. Every community is stepping up with acts of love for the hospital to raise money to build the second hospital. It doesn't matter your faith. This hospital is for everyone.
Right. So, Patrick, is there any timeline so that people can ask the city or to the different representatives once the funds are there, within how many months or within how many years the funds will be allocated and people will start getting the services with their donations?
So I believe it's right now. The Oslers actually have a teletown hall on this tonight. Anyone's interested, you can listen into the hospital town hall. But I believe the province has said it will take 5 years to build. And so we are scurrying right now. We are working hard to meet our local threshold so that we can start the building. For me, the dream scenario is that we start the construction this year. But, we're not there yet. We haven't raised the funds yet. But my dream scenario is that we see the construction start later this year.
Okay. And there was a question regarding the services, whatever the services we are getting from Brampton Civic Hospital. And also there was a question when we see there are 3 different hospitals under the William Osler Health System. But people are comparing the services between Etobicoke and Brampton Hospital. What's your take on that? Because people are thinking there is a big difference between the services and behavior and the attitude of the staff, and the shortage of the staff is we are facing more in Brampton Civic Hospital instead of Etobicoke Hospital. What's your take on that?
It's actually the same hospital system. So the same staff, the same management work in Etobicoke and Brampton. And so, those shifts are assigned by the same management. And so, Etobicoke is in a very similar situation to Brampton. We're sort of in this together. We're tied together because we have the same hospital management.
So you don't believe that there is a difference in the services?
Well, no, we're under the same funding model. But Brampton Civic and Etobicoke have the same governance structure, the same hours allocated, the same physicians, the same nurses. So we're under the same management structure. What I would say is historically Brampton has been underfunded in healthcare. And when I look at the services in Mississauga, when I look at the new hospital in Oakville, when I look at the facilities in Toronto, I do believe there's an argument to be made that the province has not kept up with the growth in Brampton, that we do not get our fair share in healthcare dollars. Is why we've campaigned so vigorously and aggressively to get the go-ahead on the second hospital, because, we're playing catch-up. We're behind.
Right. But Patrick, I'm just going to repeat the same question because people are preferring other cities instead of going to the Brampton Civic Hospital. So did you try to find the basic reason behind that approach?
So I would say the Etobicoke would be the wrong example. There are other examples where I believe the healthcare capacity is much more enhanced. It's why we got to get the second hospital built. Right. We do not have the healthcare capacity we need. We're overwhelmed. And so right now, it's not right that people in Brampton have to go to other hospitals because our hospital has no beds left. Right. We need to raise this money to build the second hospital. And if you agree with me that we need to enhance our healthcare capacity, help us make this fundraiser a success. Help us build the second hospital, because we have a responsibility here. I can point the finger at the province and say, you're not doing your job, but I also know I have to do my part. We have to raise our local share.
Right. So I know there are so many similar questions, but I'm glad that you are there to answer all the questions. But similarly, at the same time, people are concerned about almost the same questions that are coming up every time. But again, I think people will be ready to donate. They are ready to donate, and they will be definitely donating on 24th of November. And at that note, how would you encourage them so that we can get the maximum funds on that day to achieve the goal?
I would say please support this radiothon. We need the second hospital, and with the second hospital comes funding for more nurses and doctors. There's a formula the province has for every city, and based on the beds you're allocated, you get more healthcare workers. We need these healthcare workers. We need these doctors. We need these nurses. So I'd say there's nothing more important right now in Brampton than being able to get the second hospital. Help me make sure that there's no reason the province can delay this project. Let's do everything that that's required of us to make sure we trigger this construction.
And sometimes the people are also confused with the federal and provincial part. So is there any federal part too, or this is just the provincial and city only?
Healthcare is funded by the province.
The province only, yes. Yeah. So there's no federal funding in this cause?
No, the federal government has never been involved in hospital construction.
Right. Okay, Patrick, thank you so much. I think we have discussed many points.
Thank you so much.
Hope to see you on 24th again. Anything else you want to say at the closing remarks?
No, thanks for having me on the show, and let's do something great for our hospital.
Perfect, buddy. Thank you so much. Good luck. Thank you. ਸੋ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਹੋਣੀ। ਸੋ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵੀ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਣ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੱਕ ਜਵਾਬ ਵੀ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਪਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਕਾਲਸ ਵੀ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਹੁਣ ਤੋਂ 15-20 ਮਿੰਟ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਾਂ ਲੇਟ ਟੂ ਲੇਟ ਮੈਨੂੰ 2 ਆਪਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ, ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ 4 ਵਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰਕੀਰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਫਿਰ ਇਸੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਕੰਟੀਨਿਊ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਔਨ 에ਅਰ ਕਰੀਏ। ਸੋ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹੋ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹਰਜਿੰਦਰ ਗਿੱਲ ਸ਼ੋ 1350 AM ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਸੰਦੇਸ਼ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਵਾਪਸ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਹਾਂ।